Not many will try to deny that the 109 from the Bayerische Flugzeugwerke was one of, if not, the most advanced fighter to have entered production in its time. Combined with an exceptional development team at Flying Iron and research first-hand knowledge on this aircraft, it stands to reason that after a year this Warbird is still only bested by the Spitfire in Flight Simulator. Advanced engine management systems, unprecedented flight dynamics, and that intimidating airframe. If hands-on is your flying persona, the 109 has definitely earned its spot in your hangar. Now of course, this is no new machine to us, however today's video is all about showing you guys why the 109 was loved and feared at the same time. As we get started in the Messe, we begin this 3-hop flight at Dornbirn in West Austria. From there we will head northeast to Füssen with a full stop where we will just try to survive a good landing. Then we'll take off, do a flyby at the Neuschwanstein Castle on our way down to Innsbruck for a touch and go because it's always busy there. Rounding off our flight, we will be doing a full stop at Langkampfen Airport. Alright guys, welcome back to the 109. As you guys can see, the cockpit is a little bit peculiar. Allied aircraft as well as the British aircraft all mostly had toggle switches for our electrical systems. Here we've got a breaker panel, pretty straightforward and direct. The battery switch is actually going to be right down there. We'll go ahead and hit that. But as you can see, it's a little bit unusual, however it's labeled, and if you want you can switch that into English as well through the EFB if you just click this bolt right here or right down here as per Flying Iron standards. And here you can switch it to English. And there it's pretty straightforward. Propeller pitch control, ignition, inertia starter, system fuel pump. As German's pretty fun for me to speak, I'm going to go ahead and replace that with German. So we've got the battery switch on. The next thing we're going to be doing is turning our Generator, Verstellpropeller, Anlasszündung, FT-Anlage und Kraftstoffpumpe. So I just turned the ignition, inertia, starter switch, fuel pump, the propeller. When you directly translate German to English, doesn't really work out really well. Propeller pitch control is now on as well, generators on. So we're going to now crack the throttle forward an inch, prime the engine. 5 pumps when it's warm. Right now it is about 15 Celsius, I believe. And we'll go ahead and take our radiator control, set that to automatic, and that's going to open these flaps down here that are located on the insides of the wings, and that's the radiator control, which is really cool. So let's go ahead and move our mag lever up to both the magnetos and press that little red button. That's going to be our inertia starter switch, and once we get that up to about 18,000 RPM, we go ahead and pull that silver lever right there. That is going to be our starter switch. Oh, and don't forget to change that fuel selector valve to both, right down there under the throttle quadrant. Trim is set to -1. We'll set the flaps down to 20 degrees in just a moment. Let's go ahead and pull that lever. Make sure your parking brake is set, of course. And we'll go ahead and warm the engine up at around 1,000 RPM. This clock right here, the Luftschraube, which is air screw propeller, that is actually the prop pitch indicator, and 12 o'clock I believe is 22 degrees. You'll have to look into the manual, it's pretty complicated to understand at first. So as we go ahead and get warmed up here, let's go ahead and switch to our coolant temperature. We're still showing 0. Oh, that's right, because I haven't turned all the rest of our avionics, electrical, and everything back on. Now, good to go. Lighting is on, avionics are coming on. Let's go ahead and lower our flaps down to 20. Right, so after start, you go ahead and switch your avionics and push all the breakers in. And you can go ahead and hit the fuel pump, turn that off right there by pressing that little red button. So, because there's that absence of the mixture lever and prop condition lever, obviously it's automated, which is really cool for a 1930s aircraft. It does come with the consequence of plug fouling at low RPMs, but luckily the engineers at Messerschmitt were able to come up with a way to change the timing of that inverted V12. So if you just go ahead and pull that silver lever right there, it changes the timing so it cleans those spark plugs for you. And you can check the status of those by going back into the EFB and going to the workshop and watch that health meter on your spark plugs go back up. If you don't do that before takeoff, you'll get very bad performance, and if you wait long enough, the engine will just go ahead and shut off on you. So that's now clear. We're about warmed up. Flaps down to 20. -1 on our pitch trim. I'll go ahead and shut the canopy because that thing is going to shake out of alignment if we don't. GPS is set, ready to go. Give it some right rudder, release the parking brake, and slowly increase the throttle. Now, ground handling is very complicated with this thing. Well, I wouldn't say very, but it's tricky. There's a lot of P factor and torque you're having to deal with. It's a very small aircraft in like relative to many allied aircraft except the Spitfire, and that rudder is actually really small as well, so there's not as much authority on the ground unless you really raise that RPM up. But as you raise the RPM up, you also raise the torque up as well, so you're almost constantly, except for left turns, giving right rudder and right differential braking. So those are the main keys to taxiing this thing in the on the tarmac on the ground, is differential braking and rudder authority. Really important to keep in mind. So as we position ourselves on 05, go ahead and check the altimeter, make sure that's correct, do a mag check, and then clear the plug valve one more time. So altimeter is set to 1018. Set our parking brake. See, if you wait too long and you don't run that RPM above 1,300 or above, let's set that tail wheel to tight. I think the battery goes dead. It's actually really small. Oh, I know what I did. I forgot to turn the inertia starter switch off, and that pretty much runs your battery dead if you don't do that. So yeah, it looks like for this flight we're going to be running on the generator, which only runs above 1,300. See if I drop it below that amount, should go dead again. Let's keep it above 1,300 just in case. And we'll do our mag check real quick. Increase up to 2,300 RPM. Make sure you're giving a little bit of right rudder. Tail wheel is set to tight. Parking brake's on, of course. Bring it down to first mag. Looking for a 70 RPM drop. Second mag. Looking good. Altimeter set, trim is set, flaps are set. Let's go ahead and put that tail wheel back to loose, release the parking brake, and position and hold. Yeah, once we get on the ground in Füssen, I'm going to definitely have to turn the engines off to access the workshop, because I know that inertia starter is now probably totaled. Alright, so on the runway, here it's really important to make sure you go ahead and give full right aileron as well as full right rudder. We're going to be dealing with a lot of P factor and torque here. If you thought being on the ground and taxiing around was difficult, this is one notch further. So increase throttle up to 1 atmosphere, give a little differential braking, keep us on the runway, back up, now up to 1.1, and as that tail comes up, you can go ahead and start increasing that throttle up to 1.4. You can straighten out the controls. It's tricky, no doubt about that. The engine's getting a little bit warm, so our radiator flaps are opening. Keep in mind that does produce drag. So I'll go ahead and return our atmosphere or manifold pressure back to 1.1 because we're a little hot. Gear is up, flaps are up. Let's head on our way up to Füssen. this is a very small airstrip. It's actually a glider field, which is why this 109 coming in is going to be a little bit, I guess, oversized for the field, but it is still 3,200 feet, so I think we've got plenty of room. It's just that I think that strip is narrower than the wingspan of this aircraft, but we're not going to keep our standards that high. It will be okay if we're in the grass too. So let's go ahead and turn base. We've got 8 knots out of the northeast. At 300 knots, we can go ahead and lower our gear, and at 250 kilometers an hour, 300 kilometers an hour, I mean. And at 250 kilometers an hour, we can go ahead and start lowering our flaps. We'll go ahead and bring them straight down to 40 degrees on final. And we'll keep it around 190 kilometers an hour as we come over the fence. Go ahead and crab it the other direction. Wow, that's not easy. And there we go. Okay. That's successful in my book. Wow. Alright, let's get it spun around. Yeah, it is kind of unfortunate that they didn't design the canopy to slide back, so, yeah. It's a little bit difficult for beginner pilots during the end of the conflict to taxi on the ground because they couldn't open the canopy and stick their heads out the sides. So they had to rely on just making sure they did S-curves. Alright, so here we are at Füssen. Let's go ahead and clear our spark plugs for a little bit. Parking brake engaged. Tail wheel set to tight. Alright, spark plugs clear, turn the mags off. Let's go ahead and check out our workshop. Starter inertia wasn't so bad as I thought. Alright, everything is still warm. Let's go ahead and turn our starter inertia back on, mags coming to both. Everything is still pretty hot. Sehr gut. Alright, we'll go ahead and position and hold. Make our way down to Innsbruck. Make sure that thing is set to loose, the tail wheel. Yeah, visibility really is poor on the taxiway. It's not engineered with the pilot in mind, that's for sure. Alright, let's set our parking brake. Set the tail wheel to tight. Let's clear our spark plugs. Once that thing starts to bounce in and out like that, you know it's clear. Alright. Release the parking brake, full right aileron, full right rudder, a little bit of differential braking to keep us on track. Keep it around 1.1 atmospheres. And when that tail wheel comes up, you can go ahead and give it full power. Watch the power lines. If you come into Füssen, definitely gotta watch those guys. Very nice. So instead of squeezing through online players, I decided instead of that touch and go, obviously, I just wanted to do a flyby. If you guys made it this far and are enjoying the ride, don't forget to let me know with a like or even a subscription. Naturally, much appreciated. We are on our last leg to Langkampfen, and we're going to put the 109 through its paces now in maneuverability as we follow the river Inn all the way to our destination. Alright, let's do this. Flipping her inverted, let's dive down into the river. Not into the river, of course, but definitely below the trees. Now I know there's power lines up here somewhere, so we'll have to keep an eye out on where those are going to pop up. I already see some. There we go. Gotta make sure we stay under those. Oh, there's a second pair. And that's a bridge. We can't go under that. Whoa. Wish I was able to read my G's there. I was definitely pushing it over, -2 at least. And that's another bridge. Let's see if we can squeeze under it. Oh! Oh my gosh. Oh, there's some more power lines. Let's get horizontal. Good thing the roll rate at 450 kilometers an hour is really good. Man. Not going under that one. Alright, things are seeming a little bit more civilized here. Yeah, we're not going under that bridge, of course. Oh, there's the power lines again. And the second pair. Coming around to the left, over the bridge, back to the right. Oh, this looks like it might be a hard one. Not too bad. Still have 3/4 of a tank. We are really terrorizing the population here. Now I have to say, I've done this exact thing in the Mustang, and this 109 is doing it a lot better. But of course, the 109 was a little bit better in maneuverability. It's not a boom and zoomer. Oh, there's another pair of lines. Oh, that's pretty low. Oh, that second pair is really... Oh, there's 2 pairs right there. I'm gonna have to jump out of that. Well, that's insane. No way I'm... That was death. No way. Oh, we've got a query. Oh, gosh. Oh my... Yep, that's what happens when you get distracted. Now, that was 2 power lines and a bridge combined, so... We're still alive. Oh, my goodness. They are everywhere. I want to be down on the river, but the power lines are all right next to the river. That's crazy. Wow. That's a string of power lines back there that's just way too intense trying to do an acrobatic flight under them. Wow, this thing can really move. We'll go under those. Checking the map right now simultaneously, see how long we've got. Oh, we're almost there. Whew. Let's go ahead and bring the throttle back a little bit. There's a pair of lines. We'll go under those. It's becoming quite a regular thing now. Not that bridge, however. Oh yeah, I've got oil temperature damage. Cylinder head as well. We're gonna have to bring that throttle back. There we go, that's looking better. We're about 5 nautical miles out now, so we don't need to be pushing it too hard anymore. Stresses and failures are clear. We'll go ahead and put that away. Alright, let's do an overhead break. Check out the airfield. Right now winds are out of the northeast, almost negligible, 2 knots. Won't be a problem today. Airfield's in the shade. Here we are. Very nice. Here we've got 1,620 feet to contend with. Still don't think it should be any problem for the 109. Alright, like before, when we get under 300 kilometers an hour, we can go ahead and drop the gear. And at 250 kilometers an hour, we drop the flaps. We'll go ahead and give her 40 degrees. They're coming down now, we'll go ahead and trim for takeoff. Landing, I mean. And when we come over the fence, we're looking for about 190 kilometers an hour. I'm gonna crab to the right because I definitely need to see how close these trees are going to get. Can't really come straight in, that's a little tricky. Nice. Wow. Pull to idle, straighten it out. The more you practice, the luckier you get. Yeah, I know I said in my last video that P51 is my all-time favorite. It is, but yeah, the 109 is, I guess, also holding a really special place in the hangar, that's for sure. It's just too fun to fly. Alright, let's clear our spark plugs, set that parking brake. And once spark plugs are clear, we just pull the mags. And then, as a quick way to disengage all of the electrical, you just click that red button right down there, and it pulls all of it. So one thing that was kind of peculiar about the 109's startup and shutdown procedures is that during startup, the starter inertia system, the thing that got the flywheel spinning, that was a hand crank back in the Second World War done by the crew externally, and that's the way they got the engine started. There's actually tons of videos of classic Warbirds being started that way. The battery, however, was also disconnected externally as well, which is why in the EFB Flying Iron provided that little switch right there to turn the battery off, or else you actually run the battery dead. Also Leute, this video is long enough. Ein großen Dankeschön for staying tuned until the end. I really hope that was exciting for you as it was for me. But until next time, viel Spaß und auf Wiedersehen.